Hello, darlings, and welcome to today's show. If you did not hear my intro, that is because my mic was not on. So, you guys, thank you so much for joining. Mommy, thank you so much for being here, darling. Hello. Thank you all for joining. Come in. How is everyone doing today? I want to welcome you to the Wake Up and Show Up Live. I am your host, Portia Scott. This is your daily show, giving you a daily dose of inspiration and empowerment. How are you guys doing out there? Want to know? Let me know what it is that you are grateful for in the comments. We want to hear from you. I know Rena said, I'm grateful seeing my daughter Portia excel. Well, thank you so much, Mommy. Hello, darling. Jasmine, thank you so much for joining. Thank you. It's so good to see everybody coming in, everybody chiming in. It is Tuesday. My skin looks amazing, girl. You know, we've been working out. I've been trying to drink my water, trying to eat right. I'm trying to get ready because in October, when we go off to Tulum, I want to make sure I'm right. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. So what are you guys grateful for? What are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? Let us know in the comments what it is that you're grateful for. I know sometimes it is very hard to see something, to try to find that little ray of hope. But whatever that is, that can be the thing that changes your perspective. So you guys, thank you so much. Also, as always, if you want to keep in touch with us and want to know when a new episode is going live of the podcast, as well as when we are going live here, we send out a reminder on Mondays. As well as sending you inspiration and empowerment, you can text the phrase wake up to 31996. That's wake up to 31996 to keep in touch with us. So what are you grateful for? What are you guys grateful for? You guys know how we do in the comments. If I say something or if somebody in the community says something that resonates with you, what do we say? Hello, darling. So I want to make sure that you guys are in it. I'm grateful for the cheat meal that I will have tonight. Yes. There is nothing like a cheat meal, especially when you've been going as hard as you have been going. So proud of you. And so you guys, I'm super excited. I know the title of this was Doing What Must Be Done. And so I really want to talk about that. Let us go ahead and talk about it. One of the other things that I do want to say, listen, come here. We have us a website. Yes, PortiaScott.com. PortiaScott.com. Listen, I want you guys to go to the website. I want you to look around. I want you to check it out. And as always, I always ask for your feedback. Give me your feedback. So tomorrow when we join, you can come back. You can give me your feedback on how you think the site looks. I'm super proud of it. I'm super proud of it because guess what? This girl right here, who is not a web developer at all, took the time to do it. I was able to create it. And so you guys tell me how it looks, how it feels, and what are some of the things that you would like to see on there. So that is PortiaScott.com. Simple and easy, PortiaScott.com. And so let me know what you think about the website. So let's go ahead and get into, hi, Felicia. Thank you so much for joining, darling. We're going to go ahead and get into the content right now. One of the things that I said is that what we were talking about today is we were talking about doing what must be done. And so I want to give you this quote. It says, doing what must be done does away with fear. Doing what must be done does away with fear. Author unknown. But I think one of the things that the author was trying to portray here is that I always say that you can operate in fear and you can also start all at the same time. Because sometimes, if we're honest, a lot of times when we take the leaps, when we take the steps, we are operating. We are operating. Sometimes there's fear there. We always say it in the churches, say that fear and faith can't go together, which is absolutely true. If we are believing God for something, if we are walking out our faith, then that fear cannot essentially superimpose what we're believing. But there are times where you are still concerned, where you still have some thoughts that maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I'm not big enough. Maybe I'm not tough enough. Maybe I don't have all the answers, but you still do it. I have seen it time and time and time again that oftentimes there are things that I need to step out on. And let me tell you, I still in the back of my mind kind of have something, but what has superimposed it was that I made a decision that I am going to do it anyway. That despite this, I am going to do it. And what happens is when we start to move in that thing, when we start to operate in the thing where we say, I'm going to do this, that fear begins to dissipate because now you realize that, yes, I can actually do it. That is the whole thing with fear is, can I even do it? Yes, you can. And so we are talking about doing what must be done, whatever that looks like. Yesterday, we talked about how making sure that you're a change agent and being that change agent and standing up and showing up for whatever that looks like for you, that oftentimes makes you do what needs to be done. And then fear begins to dissipate. It is when I start to do something, that's when I get the confidence. Oftentimes before we start something, we don't have any confidence about it. Why? Because we have never been in that situation. We have never had to face that particular giant, that issue, that problem. But when we make a decision that I'm going to go after it anyway, then that fear starts to dissipate because we are doing the thing. We are essentially conquering the very thing that said we cannot do it. And so I always ask, and I said, one of the things that you guys know, I'm going to encourage you, I'm going to send you empowerment, but I'm also not going to allow you to be average. And what is average? Average is doing what everybody else is doing. I want to make sure that you understand that this is not average. Average is not here at when we were in the midst of quarantine and COVID-19. I know it seems like we're not, but we're still fighting a pandemic on top of everything that's going on. We still are in the midst of a pandemic. And so this is what being average is not, because I want to make sure that I dismantle all of the myths that you are average if during this time you did not do this. You did not bring in something. You did not create something. Listen, you have to, and we have to understand the lanes that we are in. For some people, they were not able to create 5 and 10 different businesses in quarantine because they had other stuff to take care of. They were being homeschooled mom and dads. They were trying to make sure that things were good. And so I want to dismantle that myth that just because you may not have started something, but I guarantee there was something in your mind where the wheels were turning, where now we're in this situation where we're thinking a little more innovative. But what average is not because you didn't do anything. When I look at average, I look at people that are doing the same thing and following along the same path as somebody else because it looks good. We literally talked about this yesterday. It's following somebody else's purpose, following somebody else's plan, and that does a disservice to you as well as the people that you are supposed to serve. So whatever it is that you have inside you, we actually need that. There is somebody that needs that. And so if you become a carbon copy, if you become so obsessed with someone else's performance, someone else's purpose, someone else's plan, then you miss out on being able to tap into the depthness of what we need, what you're supposed to do to impact humanity. And so I think about that because if we all stay average, and average really is how we show up and the decision to show up. If you show up just a little bit, you will be doing far more than anybody else. But average for me, when I look at average, I really think about Am I following the plan of somebody else? Am I following the blueprint that somebody else has laid out? Am I following the GPS that's going to take me to where I need to be, not necessarily where everybody else is going? And so I want us to realize that, listen, if we all just believed, right? Say for a minute, if we all just believe that only a public school education was the only way to go, we wouldn't have private schools. We wouldn't have Christian schools. We wouldn't have Catholic schools. We wouldn't have Montessori schools. We wouldn't have preparatory schools. We wouldn't have all these different schools that provide a service or provide a way to impact kids just in a different way. So listen. So we can all be, called to write, right? There can be a group of writers. We see tons of writers. That's why we have all these shows and movies. But everybody's not a comedic writer. Everybody is not a writer of thrillers. Some people write shorts. Some people write series. Some people write movies. Some people write books. Some people write novels. And so it's not saying that you can't have a plethora of people with a talent that may mirror each other. But when that talent begins to stream off in its various places, that is the thing. So a screenwriter actually may not be great at writing novels. Somebody that writes novels may not be great at writing short form comedy. And so you're in your lane, right? You're doing what you're supposed to be doing with what you have to do. And so one of the questions is what are you committed to do in the lane that God has given you? And sometimes those lanes change as you get older, as your passions begin to shift. For the most part, those lanes may change. You may have written movies, but you may want to expand into something else, and that is absolutely okay. But what are you going to be doing? What is your commitment to the lane that you're in? A year ago, less than a year ago, I wanted to create a kinder world through storytelling. I wanted to weave together life's pivotal moments and the decisions made to show up, whatever that looked like. I wanted to highlight stories, diverse stories that were just multidimensional and multicultural, as it is with just the melanin hues that Black and brown people come into. I wanted us to hear those stories because everybody's not monolithic. And so it's so important that we hear stories, because then we can see, I know it. I felt that before. Oh, my family's like that before. That's what I endeavored to do. And so that is the lane that I'm in. There's tons of podcasters. There's tons of media companies. And so for me, the difference is that I want to make sure that we're impacting humanity, that we're going to drive to make sure that people are showing up, that they're living intentionally in the moments that matter. And those moments that matter are every single moment. The moments that we have, those are the moments that matter. Not this one big bang moment, not this one moment when I get exactly what I was believing for, what I was asking for, what I've been working for, but it is all the moments. I can tell you that in the last 3 months that we have been in quarantine, you know who I've learned the most about? Me. I've learned the most about me and learning even the more how to show up in who I am. With all my craziness, with all my weirdness, with all my multitasking, I've learned how to show up because I want to make sure that I'm not being average, that I'm not just copying a template that somebody else is living their life by. Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I can say, I showed up who Portia is. I showed up authentically. And whether or not some people liked it or loved it, whatever, but I'm still going to show up the way that I am because that's who I am. And that's the lane that I play in. And so I also wanted to know, what are you committed to do with the talent that you have? What are we going to do with the talent that we have? Because we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to those around us to fully come into what it is that we have been created to do, because we have been created on purpose for a purpose. I'll give you guys this one for free because people always ask this about purpose. I say that purpose is not one dimensional. That purpose is not this only one thing that you find. But because if you think about how people are created, we're created with cells, we're created with muscles, we're created with all these different systems working together to help us breathe, to help us stay alive, to help us succeed, to help us do what we need to do as human beings. And so when we look at purpose, I always say this, that purpose is like a river and it shows up in every area of your life. Rivers were made for various reasons. We can drink, we can have entertainment on rivers. Companies use rivers as their energy. And so when you think about all that, your purpose is multidimensional. It'll start to show up in different areas of your life. How do you show up for your family? How do you show up in your job? How do you show up in your business? How do you show up in at school? How do you show up at the grocery store? How do you show up when you do what you do? And so in that, you can say, "Oh, well, I know I've been purposed to write," because you have that skill as a writer. Your purpose may be to write, but how does that writing show up at work? How does it show up with the people you love? And that is how you begin. So if your writing is bridging people together, whether it's through laughter, whether it's through a thriller, whether it's through a romantic comedy, whether it's through always telling stories to kids, that is the purpose. Bringing people together, the way you impact humanity. And we've often put so much pressure on ourselves to find this one thing when we are not a one dimensional people. We're not. I want to create a kinder world. I want to make sure that people show up intentionally. I also love to break down complex issues. And so those are some of the purposes, but it always shows up. And what is always? It's me. I always show up. And so our purpose really is looking at how we show up in the world. And so how you show up in the world will expand to different areas. And so if I'm over here and I'm helping a nonprofit, then the way I show up there, that's my purpose right then and right there. If I show up at work and I'm going to be the best organizational entrepreneur that I can be, meaning I work for somebody else, but I look at myself as CEO over whatever department, whatever division, whatever task I have, that's how I'm going to show up. Whether I show up in the newsroom or whether I show up at school or in a school, it is that purpose. It is how are you going to show up in the world. And the funny thing is, we have the ability to make that decision. We absolutely have the ability to make that decision. And I believe that once we make that decision, that as we go, things are revealed. Clarity does not always come in an instant. Sometimes it can, but a lot of times clarity comes when we do the work, when we walk out what it is that we were supposed to do. At 38 years old, I decided to change the course of my career. The same person that you guys see is the same person I am as we serve our church community. It is the same person that I was in corporate America. It is the same person that I am with my kids because it's me. It's just me in a different facet. I'm still the river, but sometime I'm used for drinking water. Sometime I'm used for recreation. Sometimes I'm used to power plants. So it's all me. It's just how I show up in different areas. And so, I decided to change my career. At 38, I decided to do something new, but I made that decision because I wanted to write my life my way. Was it easy? No. Is it easy? Not all the time. Do I always know what I'm doing? Absolutely not. But I made a decision, and those are the decisions. I make the decisions to fail. I make the decisions to keep trying. I make the decisions to keep going. I make the decisions to be me. I make the decisions to try something new. And if it fails, it flops. And if it does well, it does well. But I decided that I was going to be a kind person, no matter what position or title that I hold. So I ask you, what are you committed to do in the lane that God has committed you to do, or God has called you to do it in? What are you going to do? That's my question for today. And that is doing what must be done. Why? Because we absolutely need you. We need everything that you have on the inside of you. We need you to show up the way that you were created, because even though it may not seem like it fits mainstream, it is you, it is your personal story, and everybody needs to hear it. I am so into sharing all kind of stories because I've had the opportunity to be around tremendous people and to hear tremendous stories. So you guys remember, we have a new website. It is PortiaScott.com. PortiaScott.com. So you guys, I want you to take a look at it. Let us know how it looks, how it feels, what you want to see on there. I know a couple people came on. Hi, Juanita from Maryland. Thank you, darling. Thank you so much for joining. Paula came in. Hello, darling. Thank you so much for joining. Godfrey came in. Website, yes, because he knows I am not a website builder. Val said, say so. Don't become a carbon copy. Be yourself. Absolutely. Mommy said, yes, darling. So I love it, love it, love it. You guys go check the website out. It is PortiaScott.com. You guys know we are here every day, Monday through Friday. At 12 Eastern time. I am super excited. Next week's show, we have an incredible show planned as we are going into Father's Day. Also, you guys know we have a weekly COVID-19 update show. Well, we're changing that a little bit. We're still going to give you your COVID updates, but in addition to your COVID updates, we want you to wake up well. And so what we're going to have is we're going to have other topics this week. This week, I want you to tune in because we are going to have an all-male panel. And we are talking about men's health. So grab your husbands, grab your brothers, grab your sons, grab your nephews, grab your friends. We are talking about men's health from the physical standpoint, their health, as well as mental health. I think it's going to be a groundbreaking interview and just panel and talk and show. So I'm super excited about that. You guys look out because we'll have some flyers out and just advertising for that. So I'm super excited. So you guys, as always, you know, we end every single episode with this declaration. Waking up is automatic. Showing up is intentional. Today, I will show up. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.